It was a Friday night. I had just cleaned out a bowl of leftover chili and was half watching a ball game rerun when the doorbell rang. No call, no heads up. I figured maybe Amazon dropped something weird again, but when I opened the door, it was my folks, and not just them. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. My name's Russell Kane. I'm 57, divorced, living quiet in a paid-off place down on Manasota Key, Florida. And that night, I got steamrolled in my own home. Before I could say a word, my parents walked right in like they still had keys. Behind them, my little brother Gavin and his wife Lila dragged in 3 big roller bags, banging over the threshold like they owned the place. No questions, no hope it's okay. Just bags dropped in my foyer like a hotel lobby. Gavin didn't wait. He headed straight for the dining room, pulled out the chair at the head of my table, our old man's old seat, and made himself comfortable. He uncorked the bottle of Cabernet I'd been saving for nearly a year, and filled up a glass like it was a Tuesday. Swirled it, sniffed it, didn't ask. "Shoreline comps are up again," he said, pulling out his phone. "You've got real value in this lot. I've been flying the drone. Got a nice sweep from the North Dock. West side's the angle." Lila stepped in with that pageant smile she always wears when she's selling something. "We're taking the master on the west side," she said, tugging her suitcase down the hall. "Sunrise helps Gavin's routine." My parents both nodded like she just announced church plans, normal as toast, then it landed. "Breakfast at 5 a.m., Russ?" Lila said over her shoulder. "Gavin likes things set his way. You're the homeowner. That's your job." My mother patted my arm. "Be a good sport, honey." Gavin leaned in, talking strategic monetization. He wanted me to chop off the north lot and hand it over for a silent investment. Said he had cash from Jersey that wouldn't show up on paper. Called it a win-win. Lila mentioned hosting investor mixers here. My dad finally chimed in. "You don't have kids, Russ. Share the blessings while we're alive." Nobody asked how I felt about any of it. I cleared plates that nobody finished and muttered, "I'll think about it," which we all knew meant hell no. In the kitchen, I stared at the clock. 5 a.m., huh? I pulled out my phone and ordered a box of that gut-blasting morning cleanse tea. Extra strength, same-day drop. They fanned out across the house like they'd booked a week. Lila laughed about staging photos. Mom asked if the dock lift still worked. I slipped out to the beach and let the surf drown them out. 12 years ago, I bought this place cash so nobody could ever take it from me again. The alarm hit at 4, but I was already up, sitting at the kitchen island with the lights off, listening to the waves roll in under the hum of the fridge. I fired up the grinder low so it wouldn't wake the circus upstairs. Coffee brewing, I laid out a full spread like a short-order cook. Sourdough toast, jam, fruit sliced neat, 2 soft-boiled eggs per plate, 6 minutes, no more, no less, and a pitcher of fresh orange juice I squeezed myself. But the real main event, the tea. That little box I ordered, the Deep Cleanse, came with a warning. Use 1 bag per day. Do not exceed dosage. I dropped in 6. Let it steep until the water went nearly black. Smelled like a pharmacy. Poured it into the biggest pot I had. Set out mugs like a brunch buffet. At 5 on the dot, Gavin came down with wet hair and that smug little half-smile he's worn since high school. Lila followed right behind in pink satin pajamas, moving like she owned the air in the room. "Finally someone knows hospitality," she said, filling a giant mug without asking. Took a long sip like she was on vacation. My folks came shuffling in behind them, grumbling about the AC being too damn cold, but they each grabbed a mug. Gavin went back for seconds. "This is clean energy," he said. "You should market this, Russ." I just smiled and flipped another piece of toast. About 40 minutes later, Gavin let out this low groan, hand to his stomach, eyes squinting like he couldn't focus. Then he stood fast and bolted for the downstairs powder room. Door slammed so hard the hinges rattled. Lila started laughing, but didn't finish. She clamped her hand over her mouth, eyes wide, and sprinted up the stairs. I heard 2 more doors bang, one down the hall, one at the far end. Then Mom whispered, "Arthur, I don't feel right." Dad sank back into the chair, face pale and clammy. His hands gripped the edge of the table like the floor might fall out. And then it started. The full soundtrack. Toilets flushing, doors creaking, footsteps wobbling, someone gagging upstairs. Lila screamed down the hall, "What did you put in that tea?" I grabbed the landline, steady. "Yeah, I've got 2 elderly guests with what looks like severe GI distress, possible food reaction. 781 Gulf View, Minnesota Key." Dispatch took it seriously. Paramedics rolled up 10 minutes later. Efficient, calm, did their thing, fluids, vitals, basic checks, no sirens. One of them raised an eyebrow at the smell in the hall, but didn't say a word. Ambulance took off with my parents. Gavin and Lila peeled out in their SUV, headed for the ER. No thanks, no what the hell, just doors slamming and tires crunching gravel. First time since they walked in, I could hear the AC hum. I just stood in the middle of my kitchen and let the silence settle. Then I walked to the master they claimed like squatters, pushed open the door. Their stuff was everywhere. Chargers and outlets, shoes kicked off. Gavin's duffel half-zipped on the bench at the foot of the bed. I leaned down, opened it. Under a pile of golf shirts was a manila folder. My name typed clean across the top. R. Kane, Minnesota. My gut locked up. Inside were drone shots, full aerials of my property from the water, the road, even shots through my windows. Night vision, time-stamped. Been going on for over a year. There was a power of attorney form, notarized. My parents' signatures, 10 weeks old, authorizing Gavin's so-called partner, Carter Vale, to act on my behalf and sell my house. An LLC packet, Harbor Cliffs Holdings. Carter listed as sole manager, then a spreadsheet. Title, closed transactions, 5 years, 26 rows, each one an elderly homeowner, columns for name, age, value of home, heirs, final status. I was row 27. Status, next. My hands were shaking, but I got photos of everything, every page, uploaded straight to my locked drive. Then I took the originals, carried them into my office, opened the shelf panel behind my desk, and locked them into the wall safe. I sat there holding it, feeling the weight of it in my hands. Something slid out of the folder as I put it back in the safe. Small, stiff, cream-colored, a business card, Tara Henson, Mobile, Alabama. There was a cell number scrawled across the back in blue ink, handwriting I didn't recognize. Lila had once called her Gavin's unhinged ex who spread lies online. Back then, I tuned it out. Sounded like drama. But now, I dialed. Tara answered on the second ring. "This is Tara." I cleared my throat. "Yeah, I'm Russell Kane. I just found a folder titled R. Kane, Minnesota. Your card was inside." Silence. Then she let out this dry, humorless laugh. "Of course it was. He used the partner Carter on you too, huh?" I didn't even have to explain. "Let me guess," she went on. "Refinance pitch, promised privacy, easy closing, all above board. Then he drained the equity and disappeared the day the check cleared. I told her I had drone shots, a POA, a sale-ready spreadsheet with victim names and status rows. She didn't even sound surprised. "He stole my house," she said. "I lost nearly everything. Had to move in with my sister for 3 months. Almost got fired. I still can't open mail without getting chest pains." She emailed me the full thing. Police report, a forged quitclaim deed, bank wire logs to Carter's LLC. I read every page while the files loaded. "He picks people alone," she said. "No kids, paid off homes. Makes you feel seen, makes it sound like a solution. But it's a setup, always has been." Then she paused and said, "You want to talk to someone else he did this to?" "Yeah," I said. "Bernice Doolin. She's in Daphne, Alabama, 83, sweet as pie. He moved her out of her place with assisted living money that never existed." Tara texted me Bernice's number. I called right away. A shaky voice picked up. "Hello?" "Hi, is this Bernice? My name's Russell Kane. I think we've both been targeted by the same people." She didn't ask for proof. She just sighed. "He smiled and took my history," she said softly. She texted me photos, a purchase agreement for her home at a quarter of market value, text from Carter promising a premium suite at a place that didn't exist. Now I live in a state-run building, she said. 1 room, hot plate. I've got a suitcase and my photo album. That's it. I thanked her, promised I'd make sure the story didn't stop with her. Then I sat down and pulled it all together. Forwarded every file to my estate attorney in Venice. Subject line: urgent, possible fraud involving my parents. Multiple states. Attached everything: the POA, the spreadsheet, the drone shots, Tara's report, Bernice's docs, their contact info. I ended the email with 1 line: please loop in law enforcement immediately. I clicked send, watched the dial spin, done. I walked to the safe, opened it again, and dropped the originals in. This time, I shut it slow. Let the weight of the door match the weight in my chest. Back in the kitchen, I poured myself a glass of water, stared at the teapot like it might still hiss. And just like that, I wasn't sad anymore. I was doing math. I added it up. 10 years of just helping out. Monthly wire, $3,600 since Dad's bypass. That's $43,000 a year, 10 years even, $430,000. I paid for Gavin's destination wedding in Santa Fe. I covered his truck down payment when his credit didn't clear. Paid for Mom's dental implants. Covered their card debt, twice. The sun was just hitting the water when the front door swung open like it had something to prove. Mason walked in, duffel over one shoulder, work boots still dusty, face set tight. "Grandma says you poisoned everybody with some psycho tea," he snapped. "Uncle Gav says you've lost it. I got the first flight I could. What's going on?" I didn't flinch, just pointed to the kitchen island. "Sit. You're going to want to see this before you decide I'm the nut." He dropped his bag and slid onto the stool, arms crossed. I opened the laptop and clicked into the folder. First file, drone photos, wide shots from the Gulf, closer ones from the street, then the ones through my windows at night. Mason leaned in. "Who took these?" I didn't answer, just pulled up the next file, the power of attorney, his grandparents' signatures clean and dated. UPS store notary out of Dayton. He squinted. "That's Grandma's loop on the D. That's real." Then he got quiet. I queued up the texts. Carter to Mom. "Just sign the flagged pages. Russell will never know until close. Gavin and I have buyers lined up." Her reply: "He won't miss it. He's got too much house anyway." Mason didn't blink, didn't breathe. I played the audio next, from Mom's cloud, her voice soft and excited. After closing, we split it even. Russ lives alone. We raised him to share. Mason's face twisted, jaw clenched. I dropped 2 PDFs beside the screen. Tara's police report, Bernice's agreement. "These were rows 23 and 24, I said. "I'm 27. He looked like he wanted to break something. "That's elder fraud, Dad," he said. "That's prison." I nodded. "Already sent everything to my attorney. My name was next in line." He stood and paced to the slider, stared out at the Gulf like he was seeing it for the first time. "I came to chew you out," he said. "Now I'm embarrassed." He walked back and put a hand on my shoulder, solid. "We're calling the sheriff." I already had Sarasota County's non-emergency line pulled up. Mason tapped the speaker. The detective on the other end was fast and direct. "You have the documents in hand? Don't touch that bag again. We're sending units now. I'm applying for an emergency warrant." I closed the laptop. Mason moved to the security monitor. I showed him the grid. 12 cams I installed after the divorce. Front, back, dock, hall, garage, office. Silent alerts, direct sheriff feed. 42 minutes later, we had 2 deputies and a plainclothes detective standing in my foyer. Mason did most of the talking, calm, clear. I handed over a drive, scans of every page, every file, time-stamped and backed up 3 ways. The detective scrolled through the folder, face going hard. "Plenty for probable cause," he said. Then he pulled out his phone and texted someone. "Warrant incoming. Carter Vale's about to have a long night." He looked at both of us. "If they come back tonight, don't be heroes. Let us handle it." We nodded. He helped us sync the cams to silent ping dispatch. Every sensor, every motion trip routed straight to his team. They set one unit nearby in an unmarked cruiser, another car parked half a block up. When they left, the house was quiet again. But it felt different, tighter, watched, like a bunker you could finally breathe in. The detective's phone buzzed. He glanced down once, then looked up at us. "Warrants approved," he said. "Carter Vale and any agent acting on his behalf." He didn't waste time. 2 deputies stayed inside with us. 2 more took positions outside. An unmarked unit rolled to the corner and killed its lights. Mason and I moved room to room while they settled in. He tested motion sensors, tripped them on purpose, reset angles. I shut off the hallway light that always creaked and flipped on the closet cam that watched my office door from above. Every move felt clean, controlled. Before we sat down, I texted Gavin. "We'll talk in the morning. Please don't come back tonight." He read it. No reply. Of course. Mason and I took seats at the desk, screens up. Every camera feed tiled across the monitor. We poured coffee we didn't drink. Midnight dragged like it had boots on. The Gulf outside was black and loud. Waves kept rolling like nothing in the world was wrong. I caught myself thinking about Dad's line, "You don't have kids to leave it to." Mason was right there, quiet, jaw set, doing the job. Guess I did have someone to leave things to. Or maybe just someone to stand with me while I kept them. Looking back, I should have known the minute Gavin poured my wine without asking. That was the tell. Always was. At 2:11 a.m., the office monitor flashed red. Backdoor sensor. I leaned forward. The feed showed the slider easing open, slow and careful. A figure slipped in wearing a cap and latex gloves. Lean build. Quick feet. Carter, not Gavin. He moved like he'd practiced, avoided the loose board by the kitchen, didn't look around, didn't hesitate. Straight up stairs. He stopped at my office door and pulled out a key. A spare. Door opened with a soft tick. Mason swore under his breath. Carter went right to the bookshelf, pressed the hidden panel without searching, and knelt at the safe. He pulled a pry tool from his backpack and tapped the dial like it owed him money. The safe chirped wrong. He muttered something and tried again. That's when the closet door opened. "Sarasota County Sheriff's Office," a deputy said. "Hands where we can see them." 4 red dots bloomed on Carter's chest. He froze, didn't flinch. Then he tried to smile. "This is my family's house," he said. "I'm just retrieving paperwork." They cuffed him fast, patted him down, pulled the backpack open on the floor. Inside was a loaded 9mm with the serial filed clean. 2 burner phones. An envelope of cash. A fake Florida ID that read Caleb Vance. And a USB drive with black tape labeled Master Roster. The detective picked up the drive and nodded toward the camera. "Full entry on video, warrants in my pocket, you're done." They walked Carter past me. He didn't look angry, didn't look scared. He looked at me like I was a speed bump, something in the road. No shame, just calculation. One deputy read him his rights. Another bagged the gun. "Possession of an illegal firearm, burglary, and likely multi-state fraud," the detective said. "Judge is going to love this." They pushed him into the cruiser. Door slammed. Blue and red lights washed over the palms, then pulled away down the street. Mason let out a long breath. First one I'd heard in an hour. He really thought this was the easy part. The detective stayed a few more minutes, plugged the USB into a secure laptop. "Encrypted," he said, scrolling. "But the header's visible. 26 victim folders. Ledger attached. Travel plans too. Cancun tomorrow morning. One way." He shut the laptop and stood. "We'll leave 2 cars circling till dawn. I'll call you by breakfast with charging decisions." They cleared out quiet. The house settled. No footsteps, no voices. Just the AC hum and the ocean pushing air against the glass. I stood there for a second, hands on the desk, watching the empty feeds. Around 9, the front door creaked open like it knew what was coming. My parents stepped in first, pale, slow, clutching bottled water like it was holy. Gavin dragged his feet behind them, and Lila came last, sunglasses on indoors like she was shielding herself from consequences. They froze when they saw us. Me and Mason at the island, coffee poured, locksmith van humming in the driveway. Mom went first, of course. "Honey," she said, voice thin, "Carter's in jail behind some mix-up. You need to fix this." Dad nodded. "The detective said you gave them the paperwork. That was a mistake, Russ. We'll go down there together and clear it up." Lila crossed her arms. "You owe us. Gavin almost passed out in the ER. And humiliating him like that? You're lucky we don't sue. Drop the charges now." I didn't flinch. Just tapped my phone and hit play. Mom's voice filled the kitchen, cheerful, hopeful. "After closing, we split everything even. Russ doesn't need all that space." Then Carter's text to Dad. "Have Diane sign page 4 and 5. Tell her it's routine. Russell trusts you." Underneath that, Dad's thumbs up reply. The silence that followed hit hard. No one blinked. Mom wilted first. "We were drowning, sweetheart. Reverse mortgage, credit cards, the hospital bills. Carter said it was a clean deal. We thought you wouldn't mind." Gavin forced a smile, like he could still charm his way out. "Come on, big houses are work, man. This was smart. Efficiency. You'd thank us later." Mason stood up slow, voice even but sharp. "What I saw last night was elder fraud and conspiracy. There was a loaded gun in Carter's bag, 2 burner phones, fake ID. This is serious." Lila pointed at me. "You drugged us." I looked her in the eye. "You demanded 5 a.m. service. You got it." Then I slid a thick stack of printouts across the island. Tara's police report, Bernice's documents, Carter's spreadsheet with my name sitting nice and neat in row 27. Dad reached toward the top page, then yanked his hand back like it burned. "Family forgives," he said, weak. "We made a mistake." I stared at him. "I sent you $3,600 a month for 10 years. Paid for surgeries, trips, and Gavin's big day in Santa Fe. I didn't ask for thanks. I just trusted you." I tapped the paper. "And you signed to sell my house out from under me." Mom's tears started, slow at first. Lila just stood there staring, eyes blank behind tinted lenses. Gavin puffed up, like he wanted to mouth off. "You're gonna get sued for this. Defamation, false arrest." I turned to the door and waved in the locksmith. "Start now," I said. "Every lock, every gate, every code. Done by noon." The clicks and grinding started immediately, tight, clean sounds, metal biting into wood, screws turning. Mom stepped toward me, hands shaking. "Please, we have nowhere else to go." "You had somewhere," I said. "You sold it." Lila hissed. "You'll regret this." Mason stepped in front of her without a word, just stood there. She backed up. I walked to the foyer and rolled out 2 small bags I'd packed myself. "Your bags are right here. Uber's out front. I booked seats to Dayton. After that, you're on your own." Mom reached for a hug. I stepped back. Gavin squared up like he was going to push through me. Mason didn't even blink. He just looked at him. Didn't have to say a word. Gavin folded. They took the bags. No thank you, no apology. The door shut behind them. I turned the new key in the lock. The house exhaled. Midday, the detective called. "Carter's been arraigned," he said. "Judge denied bail. Charges include burglary, possession of an obliterated serial firearm, wire fraud, and elder exploitation across state lines." His voice didn't carry excitement, just certainty, like a lid finally sealed. "The USB backs up everything," he added. 26 confirmed victims, 3 pending, shell companies in Delaware and Nevada, money washing through an offshore setup. He paused. "And that POA with your parents' signatures, that's now Exhibit A for attempted fraud and conspiracy." I thanked him and hung up. My attorney didn't wait either. Filed immediate revocation of the power of attorney, along with a full cease and desist package. Also filed a formal trespass notice for Gavin and Lila, legal, on record. No coming back and saying it was a misunderstanding. By that weekend, the civil suit started. Tara, Bernice, 4 others, all with copies of the evidence I'd collected. Statements lined up and notarized. Carter's name led every filing. His LLC, Harbor Cliffs Holdings, was listed as defendant on all of them. That name was going to rot in court filings for years. I shut off the monthly transfers to my parents, $3,600, cold. Didn't send a message. Didn't say a word. Just stopped. No more floating dad's credit cards. No more bridge deposits for just a month or two. They noticed. That much I knew. But I didn't pick up the calls. Gavin tried twice from unknown numbers, left one voicemail. "Whatever you think happened," he said, voice syrupy. "Family values don't disappear overnight. Call me back. We can fix this." I saved it and backed it up. Just in case. Lila sent me a cease and desist template she clearly found online, full of blanks she forgot to fill in. I forwarded it to the detective with the subject line, "Legal genius at work." He replied with a laughing emoji. Only time I let that slide. Then the news hit. Local station, evening segment, a tight, serious voice over Carter's mugshot. Local real estate consultant arrested, facing multi-state elder fraud investigation. 2-night feature, no mugshot grace. No blazer and tie from the website photos. Just Carter in cuffs, looking exactly like who he was. My attorney helped me place the originals in a safety deposit box at a bank in Venice. Brick building, no-nonsense lady behind the counter. Signed 3 forms, sealed the envelope, slid it into the slot. He also looped in a federal contact, someone who specializes in elder exploitation cases across jurisdictions. Told me this wasn't going to stop in Florida, not by a long shot. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept through till morning. No noise, no dread, just breath and dark and quiet. Mason headed back to Ocala on Tuesday. His duffel was packed neat, boots laced tight. Before he left, he held up a spare key. "Here's the spare of my spare," he said. "Just in case. You're not alone, Dad." I nodded, didn't make a speech, just gripped his shoulder and squeezed once. The door shut behind him, and for the first time in years, the house didn't feel like something I had to guard. In the weeks after, I started making the place mine again. I took down the heavy blinds that made the living room feel like a cave. Let the Gulf light in, let the breeze talk through the screens. Swapped out the dark leather couch, remnant of my marriage, for a simple canvas one. Clean lines, nothing fake about it. No more trying to hold on to things out of habit. I changed the locks, not just the deadbolts, the pattern. Every morning, I walked the path down to the water barefoot. Let the sand push up between my toes, felt the chill in the dew, watched the water stretch flat into the horizon like a clean sheet. 6 months to the day, Carter stood in a federal courtroom in Tampa and heard his number. 17 years. 11 for multi-state elder exploitation. 4 for wire fraud. 2 for the gun and the break-in attempt. No parole before year 14. He was 41. He'd be pushing 60 before he saw a palm tree again. The judge didn't sugarcoat it, called it a predatory pattern masked as opportunity. Restitution started with Tara and Bernice. Their names were first on the list. Then came Lila's fallout. Everything she'd stacked fell fast. The co-signed loans she thought would vanish, called in. Her Lexus got hooked in a Target lot in broad daylight. 24 people watched as she screamed at the repo guy in a pantsuit and cheap heels. No mercy, no deals. Their condo in Clearwater defaulted next. She moved into a 1-bedroom off Hillsborough Avenue. Corner unit in a complex with broken mailboxes and chain-link fences. Started scanning items at a warehouse club just off I-4. Name tag, hair pulled back, no followers left. License got suspended for 3 unpaid tickets. Didn't even fight it. Gavin tried to bluff his way out. Showed up to his first court date with slick hair and a nervous grin. Like charm would clear a felony. Didn't work. The texts, the POA, the spreadsheet with him pitching me to Carter. The notary log from Dayton with my parents' names underlined. All of it pinned him to the wall. He pled to conspiracy, state charge. Took 5 years probation, permanent ban from real estate activity, and a restitution order that'll chase him until he dies or disappears. No jail, but no career. His influencer page dried up fast. No new content, No collabs, just silence. My parents sold their place in Huber Heights at a loss. The reverse mortgage they didn't tell me about sucked out anything worth keeping. Card debt finished off the rest. They ended up in a subsidized senior apartment near a strip mall. Thin walls, a hot plate, a view of faded parking lines. Dad called once. Said the AC clicks when it starts and that "you poisoned us" nonsense was all behind them now. I blocked the number. Mom tried next. "You know we're your family, Russell," she wrote in an email. "You're all we have." I didn't answer, just archived it with the rest. The "you owe us" line never really died. It just got quieter, whinier. I never let it through. Mason came by every other month, pulled into the driveway with steaks and beer and whatever tool he guessed I'd need. Never asked, just fixed things. Tightened the hose bib out back, rehung the cabinet hinge in the pantry. Noticed the dock cleat was loose and reset it like he was changing a tire. We didn't talk about the people who signed my name away. We watched the sun drop into the Gulf and let it be. No speeches, no rehashing, just good air and time well spent. My mornings got simpler. Coffee strong, patio chair waiting. Legal pad on the side table in case a thought came through that felt like it needed space. Some mornings I wrote letters I didn't send. One to Tara, thanks for picking up when I called. One to Bernice, the check posted. One to the detective. You worked Sunday and it mattered. They stayed folded in a drawer with my extra batteries and takeout menus. Didn't need to be mailed to mean something. The POA copy stayed too. Filed behind my tax folder with a yellow sticky note. Boundaries are normal. Sometimes I'd forget and reach for that old instinct to explain myself. That sticky stopped me. I didn't forget often anymore. The house felt easy now, bright. No tension between the walls, just breeze and the low creak of a dock in the morning. The air smelled like salt and cut grass. No perfume, no candle trying to fake peace. Just the real thing. Most mornings, I walked the path barefoot and let the dew cool my feet. The dock boards were solid under me. The lift worked because I kept it working. No waiting on someone else to fix things. No fake emergencies from people who wanted money wrapped in guilt. I didn't rehearse speeches anymore. Not for my parents. Not for Gavin. I didn't explain myself. Didn't defend. I set the line and I kept it. If anyone asked why I cut off people with my last name, I said, they signed my house away on paper. That's a hard stop. Not mean. Just true. I'd spent most of my life confusing silence with peace and giving with love. Turns out you can bleed yourself out doing that. I learned something late, but I learned it clean. Being a provider doesn't mean being a doormat. When Mason pulled up, I'd meet him at the car with a cold bottle of water. We'd fire up the grill like it was a ritual. Talked about duct runs, lousy managers, the Rays busted bullpen, regular stuff, no landmines in the air, no second-guessing every word. It felt like a real life again, not a life on alert. Every now and then, I'd think back to that first night. Gavin pouring my wine like it was his. Sitting at my table. Explaining my future to me like I was just visiting. I should have known right then. The petty revenge with the tea, that didn't save anything. It just slowed them down long enough for the truth to catch up. What saved me was making the call, locking down proof, letting the right people do their job. I kept my house. I cut the monthly lifeline that turned into a leash. I changed the locks and the codes and the pattern I had with my parents. That last one, changing the pattern, that was the loudest click. So if some man out there's hearing this and needs it plain, I'll say it like this. Boundaries aren't betrayal. Protecting what you built isn't selfish. Let people carry their own weight. Real family doesn't plan your eviction to fix their mistakes. Real family doesn't need to be taught you're not their retirement plan. I'm a 57-year-old man on a quiet stretch of coast, and for the first time since I can remember, I'm exactly where I belong.